Hello, peace. Welcome to the Muslim Roundtable. It's a bi-weekly program with in-depth analysis from the American Muslim point of view. My name is Audrey Peard. I'm guest host today. I'm very pleased and honored to be so. And I would like to introduce you to my panel today. We have Nadine Rita. Nadine is a marketing consultant. And to her right is Ms. Dolores Lundy. She is a retired RN and Director of Communications. She's also the program director here. And our third guest is Samrina Hussain, who is a graduate of the University of Michigan and a sixth grade teacher. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here because I have a lot of questions, being a non-Muslim myself. I've been doing some study, and I've just found so much of it not only impressive, but fascinating. And it's not like we're from a different planet or anything. But the difference that I'm seeing already is that there's a lot of attention to a more holistic approach to religion and lifestyle. That's what Islam, I'm learning, is it's a way of living, not just something that you pick up on Sundays like so many. Nadine, I'd like to ask you first. What do you do for a living?
I do marketing and business development for a financial institution.
Do you?
Yeah.
And plenty of non-Muslims where you work?
Yes, pretty much the whole company except for a few.
Really?
About 250 employees.
Oh, that's a pretty big company.
Yeah.
Do you have much reaction from your coworkers when they find out you're Muslim? How does that go for you?
The main reaction, just because, unfortunately I don't look, you wouldn't know I'm Muslim by looking at me, so the first reaction I get is usually, oh, I didn't know that, you're Muslim? Oh, but then they pause and they're thinking something and you don't know what they're thinking, but then later it would come up and like, I have to go home and make dinner, and their reaction would be something like, oh yeah, your husband probably gets upset or something, right? And I say, no, why? And they just say, oh, I just assumed, part of your culture.
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions, and the reason is because of lack of education. We're not good yet with crossover education, and that's what I've been finding so fascinating about the reading. I keep thinking, well, I didn't know that. Well, you don't go drinking with the girls after work, obviously.
No, I don't. I've been invited, but I don't.
Yes,
Yeah.
And you are married.
Yes.
Great. I think that's really an interesting thing because you're pretty young, and there's a lot of self-control involved, and a lot of temptation out there to just go out and be and do like the other girls, and you're pretty happy pulling along in the Muslim way, huh?
Yeah, I am. I mean, you do get, especially at the workplace, people talking about, oh, on the weekend we, went to this club and did that and things like that, and what do you do? Oh, we don't go clubbing, we don't do that sort of thing, and so I find myself almost in the defense of a lot.
Sure, I would think so. It's tough to defend a lifestyle, especially when it's a good one. Dolores, you are program director here.
Yes.
And I was told also that you are quite an activist for better schools, and you work a lot with low to moderate income families about health care, affordable housing, jobs, that sort of thing.
Yes,
You're
it's
busy
a
lady.
passion. It is a passion, very much.
Really?
I have always been, I think that's why I became a nurse in the first place. I've always been involved in the welfare of others, and I think it was sort of passed down through the family. You know, even as Christians, my family were local missionaries. In other words, we worked in the trenches and whatever we could do. So it's just part of my obligation. I just feel that if I'm not concerned about those who have not, then I am not at all a servant of God, and I feel this very much. I'm very involved with that.
I'm impressed with that. It's wonderful. It's what everybody seems to strive for in all religions, and I don't think they do it every day. Your Muslim identity, is that something that you sort of hold private out in the non-Muslim world? You like to talk about it with people?
I do, but in a different way. I believe in the mercy of God very much, and I think that you do not have to talk the mercy, you show the mercy. And so therefore I think my Islam is in what I do, how I approach people, how I make them feel. I feel that every human being is a creation of God, and I am a servant of God. In fact, I'm a slave to him. And to please him by taking care of his creation is what I do.
Well, okay. I should be applauding right now. Well, then, conversely, what do you do? How do you react? I know that you're human.
Right.
You're going to have criticisms, judgments, frustrations about non-Muslims and their behavior, and I already can tell that you lead by example and try pretty much not to let it bother you. But what do you do? What do all of you do from your standpoint? There's a lot to see out there that really doesn't apply to how you believe and walk.
I appreciate that question because that's one of the reasons why the prayer really helps. I'm a coward. I run to God when I know that I can't handle certain things. So we pray 5 times a day, but then I pray beyond that because of what you mentioned. There are things that frustrate me. The other part of the prayer is we always acknowledge that God is the greatest. So I understand that I'm on the same level as all human beings. And for me to get frustrated over what another person is doing, even if I do, I know that that is not really, I'm not justified in doing that. If anything, I should seek even more patience, and judgment belongs to God, not to me, because I am short. I do get angry. I do put people back in their places. I don't cuss, but I put them back where they should.
I do. There's a great relief in it, but maybe it would be better if I didn't.
And, there are times that I feel if I could just slap her face once, I would feel better.
It'd be all better.
I feel all of that. But the thing that prevent me from doing it is, number one, fear of displeasing God, and the fact that I can go to him in prayer and get what I need at that moment. I'm very much an emotional person.
Yes.
Very much.
Yeah, I've been reading that that the teachings from when you're very tiny teach you that God's watching all the time. And we see that a lot in the way you guys walk. Samarina, my next question's for you. You're a teacher, you've been a college student out in Michigan, you've been quite out there. Do you get any negative reactions from other Muslim men or women about your studies at University of Michigan or your work now?
I think it's actually the opposite. I get a lot of encouragement, when we go to dinners or to lectures or seminars or so on. Parents will come up, or just, people come up, so what do you do? And, I tell them, oh, I teach. And actually, I teach at Islamic school right now. Oh. And they are very impressed because, for right now, there are not too many teachers that are Muslim. You see, especially if you go to public school, only in that haven of an Islamic school you find the Muslim teachers.
Right.
But in public school, you don't see a lot of them. So the parents get very excited. Oh, good, you're a Muslim teacher. So they can they have that feeling. Well, my child can connect to you because
Oh, sure, and they have great confidence that
Exactly.
you're going to follow through with the things that they're teaching at home in addition to the education.
And I think that, for example, like with me, teaching is not a job. It's not something that I'm doing for the money, or I'm bored at home. There's nothing to do. So, oh well, might as well become a teacher, right? That's the
I was going to ask
attitude.
you, why did you choose to teach?
I love kids.
Do you?
Yeah, I love kids. I love being around them. And I started out, actually, I got my first degree from University of Michigan in psychology. And my last semester of my last year, I decided, no, I want to do teaching. Of course, my parents flipped because, they paid for everything.
Right.
And it was just a calling, I feel. I can't imagine being anything else but a teacher.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Are you really enjoying yourself right now?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
They say the best work is work you love.
Yes, definitely.
It really is. We'll be back in just a moment after our break. This is Muslim Roundtable.
Thank you for staying with us on the Muslim Roundtable.
Welcome back to Muslim Roundtable. I'm your guest host, Audrey Peard. Please make sure to check us on the web at muslimroundtable.tv or call our toll-free number for more information about this program. Today's program is about professional Muslim women. And I'd like to get back to some of our questions. Who is next? Samrina.
Yes.
You're married?
Yes.
Have a baby on the way?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When's it due?
January.
Good. First baby.
Yes.
Always a big adventure.
Yeah.
So your husband works also?
Yes, he does.
And how do you balance the married life and the home life? And Nadine, this is a question for you too, and you too, Dolores.
Very carefully. Actually, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, every day it's a challenge, you know. I would love to say that, 100%, I give everything 100%, and, house is great, and, schoolwork is great, but of course.
There's always compromise. Yeah.
Right, there's always a compromise. And I think my greatest, I think I get my strength from my religion, so that helps me. I pray, every day to God, please help me out through this day, and I'll do it, I'll be okay. And that makes a difference, I think, And of course, it is hard balancing a career with home. And I've been married for 3 years now, so marriage is a new thing for me as well.
Sure.
So, but with me, I talked to my husband before we got married and told him that career is important to me. And for me, I want to actually put into practice all the theories that I've learned in school. So he understood that, and he's a great supporter. And he helps out with the cooking and the cleaning and so on, whatever it is. Yeah, he does. And it's actually very nice. I mean, with us, we both understand each other's strengths, and we understand our priorities. And there are times when I'm 12 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting up trying to type up my exams, or correcting them. That's another hurdle, And so he,
A lot of homework for teacher, huh?
Oh, it doesn't end. It does not end. I mean, with teacher, you think you're in school, 3:30, kids leave.
Right.
Oh, I can go home.
No,
Doesn't
most people
work
think that,
way.
but that's not the case at
Right.
all. I know my father was a teacher for quite a while, and I saw that. Well, let's hope that the helpfulness continues after is diapers and bottles and walkings and all the
think it
crying
will.
and the things that
think it
come
will.
with growing a little new person.
Right.
You getting the same kind of help at home?
I am, luckily. When I first got married, I didn't work. And so that was,
Lucky.
actually, I didn't enjoy it because then I kind of felt like, well, the whole house is on me, and he wasn't helping at all. And I was kind of worried, well, when I start working, is he going to help? Is he going
Sure.
to keep, expecting what's
Got used to
happening?
the slave at home, right?
Yeah, and so then I finally got a job, and I noticed a big difference. I didn't even have to say anything. From the first day, I came home, and he was in the kitchen with me, helping me out, helping with the cleaning. I didn't even have to say anything. So I think we
Yeah.
both kind of lucked out there that we didn't even have to say
Where are they
anything.
growing, these boys?
They just know.
I think a lot has to do with you talking to the person before you get married and kind of laying out the foundation, well, I do plan to do this, and I know I can't do this alone, so I need your help,
And
and
the same expectations.
Exactly.
Well, a lot of the readings that I've, just about relationships, Dr. Phil, Joyce Brothers, everybody, communication's the key to every relationship.
Definitely.
And everybody says you have to have it established beforehand, otherwise people get used to
Yeah.
things happening.
I think it's also a matter of both of you respecting that the other person needs to work and have a career, and if he sees that me going to work every day is important to me, I think he'll see, well, she's spending her time well, and she's doing something she needs to do, and so when
Right.
she comes home, I guess I can't expect her to do all these other things too. And so
Well, I think if someone
respecting
loves you,
that
they
as
want
well.
you to be fulfilled.
Yeah,
Period,
yeah.
no matter what. All right, well,
Yeah.
some advice for other young Muslim women who are trying to decide, do I really want to be the best Muslim wife in the world, mother? Can I balance a career in that? Already you've said some really positive things. Do you have some advice about how you got there, how you made that decision, and how you made that happen for yourself?
I think, to be a good Muslim means not just being at home. I mean, my definition of a good Muslim is someone who's helping, someone
Right.
who's doing whatever they can to, do the work of God. Because you are, like she said, you are the slave of
Well,
God.
let me say, too, I remember when I spoke in front of a group of Muslims not long ago when I met Dolores, one of my comments was, I don't see many Muslims out there in TV and film and in my business. If I do, I don't know. And I think that there's too much negative press, and the idea that we can see more of you out there being you and being the good version, the strength of what Islam means is really important to the world,
Right.
because it is a very good practice, life.
Yeah. I mean, that ties into your question about advice to people right now considering. I think that we need to get out there more, and we need to be in the professional
Be
environment
brave.
and exactly and go into these companies and introduce yourself as a Muslim so people see you
Yeah, so
and,
see that
and see
example.
more Muslims and don't just go about your daily life, or even if you go to work and don't say you're Muslim and nobody knows it. I
Right.
don't think that's right too. I think you need to
You should. Christians do
people know
it,
that you
Jews do
are.
it,
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
should.
Just so
And show that
people
you're
can see
cool
you.
and real,
Right.
not an uptight sort of unapproachable personality.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dolores.
Well, I guess dealing with that subject about whether or not we introduce ourselves, how we introduce ourselves, the word Muslim means one who surrenders to God. And I actually know that I was a Muslim before I officially, before people said my declaration. So it was not really like I was bumped to a certain level.
Right.
It was already a practice. It was already in my heart.
I can understand that.
It's a relationship that you have with God.
And yourself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, on a personal basis.
Absolutely.
And so therefore it became like walking. And when I'm around people, I never stop to think that I have to say who I am, because it's
You're exuding it in everything
that's
you
right,
say
it's
and
who
do.
I am. Now, when I was a Christian, and I know that you'll be able to identify, we came from the Holy Roller Church,
Wow.
where you wore the long clothes.
Fundamentalists,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, very fundamental. So, in other words, being committed on a very serious level, I was used to it. And when I became a Muslim, it was not any adjustment that
difficult
I really had to
transition
make.
for you.
But of course, we did not cover our heads all the time.
Right.
Only when it was Sunday and we went to church and you wore the church women's hat, whatever. But I do not see my worship as one that I need to indoctrinate people. I think that glorifying God, and I always give him the credit for whatever happens, that they find, because that's how I found God, that in your heart it opens and you're able to receive.
Well, it feels right.
Yeah,
Right.
It really does.
absolutely.
I understand that. You've been a non-Muslim professional and you're a Muslim professional.
Right.
And you just sort of hit on that you don't really make a great distinction. It's more about the way you feel, think, exude, be, live.
Right.
Is there much, though, that you see? Is there some difference in what you did before you became Muslim and now? Obviously, a greater confidence level.
Yes, I'm evolving.
A stronger faith.
Yes, I'm evolving. And what Islam does for me, it definitely gives me that direct connection that I needed.
I can see that in what I've been reading.
Exactly. And as a result, I'm evolving to levels. You know, in Islam, we believe that Allah raises you to different levels. And so it's growing nearer to God. And from my experiences, the prayer habit, the information, the recitals of the Quran to me is a living thing. It's not just a book that you open up and
Not some
there are
ancient
words.
tome, huh?
It's absolutely, when you put it to practice, it becomes a path by which you reach another dimension in so many things. It empowers you in so many ways. So my finding Islam was God's greatest gift to my soul.
That's marvelous. You guys having fun
Absolutely.
out there? You're enjoying the whole picture?
Definitely.
That's wonderful. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. We'll have to talk more about this when we return in just a moment. Thank you for joining us on Muslim Roundtable.
Thank you for staying with us on the Muslim Roundtable.
Welcome back to Muslim Roundtable. Be sure to catch us on the web at muslimroundtable.tv or call the toll-free number. We're talking about professional Muslim women. I'm Audrey Peard. And we're back. And I had some questions about just out there in the non-Muslim world and at work. Are your employers supportive? Do they know if you have issues where it sort of infringes on your comfort level? What do you do when you have conflict?
Luckily, I haven't had any sort of conflict. Normally, my employers just don't really have a reaction when they find out, and I haven't been in a situation yet, and I hope I never do where there is conflict. I really hope
Well, it's a
not.
strange world. You never know. I'll bet Dolores has had to deal with this a time or two.
Not from a serious thing. Only once when I needed to go to worship. And I worship around noon. And being a nurse, there was just no way they were going to allow that to happen. And so instead, I understood that it was not necessarily necessary for me to go at that time. But when they made special arrangements for others to go to worship, then I did have a nice sit down and talk face to face about feeling that there was no justice.
Right.
You know.
Just because I'm not a religion you're aware of doesn't mean I don't matter.
And that's the way she explained it. She says, well, to me, Sundays are the days that people go to worship, and I'm just not used to anyone going on Fridays, and especially at noon, and being back at 1. You know, it just didn't work out for her.
So you went, you asserted yourself, you had to sell
And it
your
worked out,
plan, and you had someone who was flexible with you, and it's more about just presenting your point, winning
That's
your
all.
point,
Exactly. Yes.
being strong about it.
Right. I think I've been lucky because I work in Islamic environment. So for me, it's, you know, we pray together. So
Right.
it's encouraged. So I have been very lucky in that way.
Do you pray with the children in your class?
Yes, we do.
How does that-
Actually, what happens is they have lunch and then they get about half an hour to go do ablution, where you go and you clean yourself, you wash yourself, so you make sure you're
Right, I
clean to
saw
go
that
pray.
at your seminar.
Right, and then all the students meet at the masjid, the center where they pray, and pray together. So it's really nice. It's very
Fun.
nice. Yes.
And the kids like it. And
The kids like it, and you know, a lot of times they'll recite prayers together as well. Like at the end, you know, they'll recite prayers together, and they do dhikr, which is remembrance of Allah. So they do that together. So that's really nice. It's a nice way to bring the community together.
It sounds like it. And then it's back to business as usual, and turn to
definitely.
page 50. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
now, how often do you sort of insert Islam into the regular lessons?
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's one benefit of teaching at Islamic school, where
Get away with
you
it.
know, because in public school I did my student teaching in a public school, and you can't even say the word God,
Sure.
because you know that's not allowed. And for us, you know, when we sneeze, we say, oh, you know, bless you. But in the way we say it, you know, alhamdulillah, you know. And that's my habit. I do that all the time, you know. So to work in an environment which actually encourages that, it was very nice. And actually, if you were to come into my classroom, it's quite unique. I mean, I've set up the room and as if you walked into the world. You know, there is the Egypt Center, and then they have, you know, we have the Great Wall of China on one side of the wall, and then we have the pillars, the Roman pillars on one side, because I teach social studies and ancient world. And what I try to do is try to show the world, how the ancient world was through a Muslim perspective. Like if a Muslim was looking through it.
Yeah, and they
you know,
can compare that.
Yeah.
I have a question
yes.
for all three of you right now, because we're getting near the end of our show, and I really want to hear your answer to this. What would you like non-Muslims out there to know about you? Women, workers, people, but what would you like them, you know, in a nutshell, to know about you? I'm thrilled that we have sort of an age range here and experience differences.
Well, I would say probably the obvious one is don't generalize, because that happens a lot of times, and I catch myself a lot
Everybody
of times
does
at work.
it.
Yeah, someone saying something, oh, I heard that in this country they do this, and I say, you know what, I've been to that country.
Right.
That does not happen.
So don't generalize.
Don't generalize
right?
just because you've seen it on TV.
All right, Dolores?
Well, born in this country, I know that it's a tradition. We do that with states. I mean, even if you're from Louisiana or whatever, someone in California will generalize, and it's not accurate. So,
Prejudgment.
yeah, so it's just part of the program. I think the only thing I want them to understand about Islam is that it is an opportunity to know God in a very personal way.
That's what I'm learning.
And it is definitely not a threat to anyone. In fact, it's a blessing to all of us. And that's the main thing I would love for everyone to understand.
Wonderful.
I think what I would like them to know is, you know, don't be afraid to come ask us, you know, because I see the looks, and I know there are questions behind
It's
the
so hard to
looks.
walk up to someone strange, someone in a wheelchair, someone with a disability, someone with a hood on, or
Right.
a veil,
Scarf
or
on.
whatever. What do you call them?
A scarf?
A scarf? Isn't there a...
Hijab.
Hijab, okay. Somebody said that to me the other day, and I couldn't remember. It's hard for people to be brave and just walk up and go, tell me about it. But you're saying, ask me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, because see, like for example, after September 11th, I was coming back from Michigan, and there was a lady, and she had no problem, you know, telling me her opinion about, you know, whether or not I should be here or not, you know.
Nice.
So I'm like, if you can come up with, you know, if you can have no you know, you don't feel bad about saying things like that, then please don't hesitate
Well, let's
and come
open the
ask
dialogue.
me. Right,
It's
come ask
time
me, why are
to
you wearing this? Or why are
Stop
you
judging, stop generalizing, open up, ask a little bit, and you'll learn like I have that everyone I've met who's Muslim so far has been absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
I've really
Audrey.
been honored to work with you and talk with you. It's been a great pleasure for me. Thank you very much. And thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
me.
Thank you.
All
very
right, thank
much.
you so much for joining us on Muslim Roundtable. See you next time.
Thank you for watching the Muslim Roundtable. We'd like to hear from you. Call us at 1-877-493-6089.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Muslim Roundtable, the only show where you're going to get the in-depth analysis of current events, religion, culture, politics from the American Muslim point of view. Today we're going to be talking about peer pressure on Muslim youth. Let me introduce our panel today. On my right is Mr. Faisal Orezi, who is a student at Irvington High School in Fremont.
Sorry.
And on my far right is Sister Maryam Abdul Gawad, who's a sophomore at San Jose High Academy. Welcome. On my left is Brother Akram Urezi, who's also a student at Irvington High School. They're twins, by the way. And on my far left is Ms. Sabah Khan, who's a student at San Jose State University. Welcome, everyone, to the show. So I'd like to start off the discussion, Brother Akram. What do you think is peer pressure? What's the definition?
I would define peer pressure as being pressured to fulfill someone's desire when you feel that you shouldn't. Peer pressure can be intimidating and stressful and can lead to anxiety. Examples of peer pressure would be like taking drugs, being forced to take drugs, cheating on a test, and stealing. Those are the three main examples of peer pressure.
Anyone else has any other examples?
They usually lead to a negative outcome. Yeah, all the time. Most of the time.
Sister Mariam, you have any ideas?
But peer pressure is really strong. People are really affected by peer pressure.
Usually,
Yeah, and it happens to a lot of people. They're peer
Usually.
pressured into doing something.
Usually it happens around school, because there are a lot of people out there, all different. That's how.
What have you had any personal example of peer pressure? Someone making you do something you don't want to do?
Not recently. I don't remember.
What about Sister Mariam?
No.
So have you been wearing hijab through high school all the
Yeah.
time? What's that like in school?
Well, I go to a school it's a small school with many Muslims, so that all the students are familiar with people with scarves, and I haven't had any negative comments on it. But the students are really curious, and they ask a lot of questions about why we wear it.
So what's your reply to that?
That it's for modesty, and it's representing that we're Muslims and stuff.
So you don't get any pressure to take off your
No.
scarf or show your hair? The
No.
other girls in the school, they don't do
No.
that? They don't think it's weird?
No.
That's pretty
'Cause-
good.
yeah.
How about you, Sister Sabah? What kind of experiences have you had with peer pressure?
I had one recently, like a year ago in my high school. I just graduated in 2002. Senior prom. My friends pressured me to go. Well, they were trying to, but I didn't. I think that's one pressure that everyone gets who goes to high school.
Yeah.
Senior prom is like the main event, you know, you have to go, everyone has to go. And I didn't because obviously it's not good, you know, I'm Muslim, so. I
So
didn't
what
go.
did people say about that? Did they
I
say, hey, you didn't come to the prom
Yeah,
afterwards?
I think the only people that pressure you are your friends, and if you have the right type of friends or the right friends that are good, the type of friends you choose to hang out with, I don't think that they would pressure you into it. Like let's say if I hung out with friends that are all cool and popular, and obviously they'd go to the prom or homecoming events and dances and stuff like that, and if I was part of them, then I would have to go just to keep up my popularity with it because I hung out with them.
So
I'm
you hang
popular.
around with the unpopular kids,
Well, no, not unpopular kids.
the loser kids, the ones who don't do anything.
I mean, there are people who are popular and do the right stuff, like, not the right stuff, but like, there are kids who are not popular, but they are like, let's say people who get good grades in school. They're obviously popular because of their education or they're smart, you know, we have to respect them, stuff like that, you know. There's different levels of popularity in high school, I guess. So my friends went to high school prom, I didn't, and they knew about it. They know I'm Muslim and they understand it. So I guess I got lucky because of that.
So there's a lot of Muslims at your high school too?
No, they're not. My friends, I've been friends with them for like 7 years, since middle school, and we hung out a lot, like at our house, and they know about my religion. Like my best friend, she's Christian, and